Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Mac, Jack, and Jim Big Football Show. Coming to you with your first full weekend of NFL football. I'm your host, Mac, with your co-host, Jack Hirsch, and your other co-host, of course, the great Jim Jeffcoat, former two-time Super Bowl champion of the Dallas Cowboys. And, you know, we've already seen what can happen as Detroit upset Kansas City 21-20. So now the rest of the NFL is ready to kick off. And right off the top, guys, good morning to you, by the way. Good morning to everyone out there.
Hey, good morning, fellas.
We're gonna give our three picks of the favorite teams right off the rip. I'll give you mine to start it off. I got Philadelphia -4 over New England, Atlanta -3.5 over Carolina, and Seattle -5.5 over the Rams. What you got, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, you're going with the points. I like to go straight up, but Seattle should be able to cover against the Rams, especially the Rams, team in decline with Cooper Kupp out. So Seattle's one of my picks. The Jacksonville Jaguars, you know, I have to go over the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, I can't see Anthony Richardson having a big debut. And Jacksonville is a team on the rise. And I'll also go with the Baltimore Ravens. I'll give the 2.5 points, whatever, to Cleveland. Not the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals over the Cleveland Browns. It's a great state rivalry. The Bengals haven't beaten Cleveland who knows when. But I think Cincinnati's Super Bowl bound this year, and they make a statement in game one by beating Cleveland. In Cleveland.
All right, Jim, what do you got for your three picks for the favorite teams?
Favorite teams, I think, like Jack said, Seattle is going to get after Los Angeles. I think that's going to be one. Baltimore at Houston. Baltimore should handle that easily. I think Houston will start off with a little bit of energy, and then I have Las Vegas. I don't know if Las Vegas is the favorite, but I got Las Vegas over Denver. They'll cover the points.
Let me see what we got here. Denver is favored over Las Vegas. It ain't going to work. That would be
no, so that won't work. So then I like Washington over Arizona in cover.
Washington over Arizona. Jack, you got Seattle, Cincinnati, and what was your third team?
And Jacksonville.
And good morning, Pickles.
Good morning, Pickles. How you doing today? Folks, we got Keith Angle ready to come in already. He's all excited about being on the NFL Big Show, which he should be because it is the best.
Mac, is Keith going to start with an apology to Deion Sanders and the Colorado football program?
We'll get to that, but I first want to get Keith's three favorite teams that are favored, his three picks, and his underdog, and we'll get to all the college after that.
Absolutely. So right off the bat, you want my picks?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's start with Seattle over the Rams.
Everybody likes Seattle. Go ahead.
I'll take the Ravens over the Texans.
There you go.
And I will take the Vikings. I forgot who they're playing. Who are they playing?
They're playing Tampa Bay.
Minnesota. He doesn't care who they're playing. The Vikings are winning. Keith's putting his foot down. What do you got for your underdog, Keith?
You know, I tinkered with taking my team, but
I know you did.
I tinkered with it, but I'm going to take your team, the Giants.
All right. So Keith has the Giants.
Sorry, Jim. I might have to move again. Jim's looking at me.
So he's got the Giants +3 at home. Not a bad pick. I'd consider taking that, but we'll get
on the dogs. Yes, now, do I have to win? Do I have to win on the dog or just cover?
Just cover. That's all it is. So, and let's get into the college football. There's one thing I see out there that I haven't seen a lot. I mean, we had them once in a while. A lot of 5-year quarterbacks, Keith, are playing because of the NIL. They can make some money without going into the NFL. In fact, the Notre Dame quarterback is a 5th-year quarterback, and he said he was ready to go to the NFL, but Notre Dame came knocking, so he went and played for Notre Dame. Is this trend going to continue, Keith?
It's possible. Actually, there's some 6-year players out there because of
Right?
COVID.
There's 8-year
Yeah.
players out there.
COVID really extended it a lot, and kids are staying longer because of NIL. Sam Hartman is a good example. Probably would have been a mid-round selection, not a really high selection, and the money he would have gotten on his rookie contract, he probably got an NIL money at Notre Dame. Plus, he gets the exposure from Notre Dame for another year to maybe improve his draft stock, and he's playing some really good football. So, and again, before more eyeballs, which will certainly help his draft stock, I think.
You correct me if I'm wrong. Van Dyke is a 4th or 5th year.
He is I believe he's a 5th year player.
Yeah, I thought so. The kid from Miami.
Yeah,
and from
and there was a tight end trying to remember the game I watched because of injuries or something. He's he's an 8-year player. He's 25 years old playing against 18, 19-year-olds.
Yeah, they were calling the old man last night when I was watching the game. But you're going to see a lot more of this because, again, if the NIL money stays where it is, a lot of these kids will get more by staying in college than by going pro.
Yeah,
especially anybody who's borderline. I mean, why wouldn't you stay? I mean,
that's true.
So it's becoming more and more.
Exactly right. And this is going to mess with the draft. If you don't like the teams that are picking, say you're a top 5 pick, stay in school and you're still going to get paid because that's what Caleb Williams from USC is talking about. If Arizona has the top pick, he doesn't want to go to Arizona for whatever reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the draft rules are in the NBA rather. I was at the NBA and the NFL in my mind with the draft. I don't know if you can declare, and I think you can declare for the draft, and there's a certain point you can go and you can still pull out. I think. Yeah. I'm not positive.
Yes, you're right. You're right, Keith.
You're correct.
Yeah, so they'll get all the advice they can get, and then if it doesn't work out, they either go back to their school or go somewhere else. Sam Hartman graduated. I don't even know if he's going to school. And that's the weird thing about this. He got his degree at Wake Forest, so but he had a year of eligibility left, so he's in Notre Dame just playing football.
Yes. Excalibur Iron Force in with the big win by Texas, and we're going to get to that. Let's talk about Colorado. The hype is going to get bigger, Keith. Deion Sanders doing his thing, his son doing his thing. What do you think? When's the first loss you think going to happen, Keith?
Week 4. They're going to lose. They'll be 3-2 by the time the month's out. They're going to lose to USC and Oregon. In my mind,
I would say USC, but I think they're going to beat Oregon.
You think they'll beat Oregon? Okay, fair enough. And listen, Jack, I know you want me to apologize. I don't think I have anything to apologize for. I said he's done a good job. I think the hype
He did say that, Jack.
He's going to go 10-2 and win the conference is a little too much right now. Let me see some. He hasn't played a good team yet, by the way. Nebraska's not a good football team.
A lot of people are focused on Deion's son, who's the team's quarterback, but they have a really good defensive unit. They kept stripping Nebraska the ball. Really, they swarmed that unit.
They have played very, very good football for 2 games.
And I would disagree with that. I think that's their Achilles heel.
Their weakness. I would agree with that, too.
Yeah,
there are turnovers. They do get turnovers, but you can run on this team. And I think Nebraska came away from the run way too early, trying to match scores with them. Keep them.
I don't know if it was that. I just think.
Jim,
you can't score.
You don't want them getting the ball right back right away. I mean, I want to control the clock as much as possible. If I was Nebraska, not saying Nebraska would have won, but I think it would have been a closer game.
Their quarterback Jeff Sims didn't have really a clue at times.
No.
He could never stretch the field against Colorado.
He got some issues. I don't think anybody thought Matt Rule would turn it around in a year there, right? And but you can't get blown out. Who knows? The thing about Colorado is we don't really know. There's 80 new players. How do we really know? Maybe I'm just guessing that they'll be 6-6 based on where that program's been.
It might be a little better, Keith, because they do play Oregon at Oregon, and I think they can win that game. I think they can win against Oregon. USC is going to be the challenge. It's going to be those 2 games are going to be high-scoring games.
They're going to have
the
tough
advantage that Colorado has right now is turnovers. They're getting a lot of turnovers.
They're going to have tough games with Oregon State. They're going to have tough games with Washington State, who was really good yesterday against Wisconsin.
Beating Wisconsin.
But the guy nobody's really talking about, they're talking about, his son, the quarterback, but Travis Hunter might be the best player in the country. He's playing both ways, and by the middle of the season, you may be talking about him for the Heisman and not some of these other guys we're talking about today.
And their kicker, Fiedler, he's outstanding. He's, looks like he's headed to the NFL.
Is that Feely? Is that his father, who was a pro kicker?
Hey, Feely.
Feely, yeah, I mean Feely, yeah.
So Keith, let's go through some of the games. You tell me whether there was expected, major upset, minor upset. We'll go through the rounds here. Let's see. Penn State beating Delaware at 63-7. That wasn't even really a game. Notre Dame at North Carolina State 45-24. North Carolina State's better than what I thought they were, Keith.
You know what? I stayed away from it, but a lot of people were on this taking the 7.5. It was a big spread on the road. I think Notre Dame acquitted themselves pretty well. North Carolina State's not a bad team, as you said, and they went on the road and beat them by 19. That's pretty good. Sam Hartman with another big game, as we talked about earlier. Notre Dame going to put themselves in position here to be talked about a lot. This keeps up.
Not again, Keith. I don't want them going to the playoffs again, beat like crazy again.
New
Ohio
team,
State.
New team.
Okay, all right. We'll see. Number 5, Ohio State playing Youngstown. I think that's a population of 300 people there. So
they had a really good FBS 1 team, but I think they moved up into the FBS division. So again, they not be unexpected here.
Georgia, of course, rolls over Ball State 45-3. Michigan without Harbaugh, and I think that was Harbaugh's son coaching on the sideline. Beat UNLV 35-7. Washington, the final year, if I'm not mistaken, was Washington 13, Tulsa 10. Am I right, Keith?
No, they won like 33 to 10.
Wasn't it?
Oh, that must have been like halftime or something. I
feel like they had at least 36 yesterday.
Okay, all right. Tennessee beats Austin P 30-13. A big surprise there.
For a while.
Number 4, Florida State, 66, Southern Miss 13.
You take that one and you think, they should kill them, but this is a spot they could have let down, and they could have had a tougher battle. For them to come out and blow them out, I think speaks very well for Florida State and where they're heading here.
USC wins 49-3. A little defense being played there by USC this week, Keith.
Well, they played Stanford. I think any of us could probably start on that team right now. They're going to be good. They'll get better because they've got a good new head coach, but it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
As Caliber forces Ole Miss surprised them at Tulane.
I liked Tulane yesterday, and they actually it was a really good ball game until it got out of hand in the middle of fourth quarter. They played without their starting quarterback Pratt, Tulane too, so I was happy they stayed in the game as long as they did. Nice start for Ole Miss, though. They played their defense looked better than it has in the past as well.
An underrated game was Utah against Baylor.
Utah struggled to get that's one of the, I had close calls on my list today, and Utah was one of them. They were losing for a good part of that game.
Until the fourth quarter, last 2 minutes.
Cam Rising was back too yet. No, I'm sorry. He didn't start.
No, he did not.
He got pulled before the game started, right?
Yeah.
Texas breaks the 21-game losing streak against Alabama. Alabama just doesn't have a passing game, Keith, and you're going to go against these teams that can, toss the ball around. There's going to be a big disadvantage.
Yeah, the kid didn't play well yesterday. He didn't throw the ball particularly well the week before when they blew them out, but he runs the ball well. He's a great athlete, but he doesn't have much accuracy, and their wide receivers are not what they've been before either. This is a big win for Texas, by the way, because
I thought the wide receivers, I thought they're running. They were physical, Alabama.
Yeah.
Just that, and you're right. The quarterback made the difference. Having Ewers as opposed to, is it Melrose?
No, yeah. I think that's it. Yeah. And by the way, this is the first time he's lost a non-conference game at home since 2007.
56 games?
I think it's 43, I believe.
43?
Yeah.
So Keith, how far does Alabama fall? Do they fall out of the top 10, or they fall near the bottom of the top 10?
I don't think they fall out of the top 10. I think they will get towards it. towards the bottom of the top 10, though. They have to. Texas, this is a big win for Texas. They need a statement. Sarkisian's never had this type of statement win that I can remember. And this momentum could really propel them through the season. We'll see. That's a big win.
Could Alabama conceivably be in the playoffs if they lose one more game? That's 2 games, basically eliminate a team.
It's hard to get there with 2, but if they were to lose another game in conference, still get to the conference championship game and win it, that's the key, right? This isn't a conference game, so it doesn't hurt them to that extent. But if they win the SEC title, they're going to the playoff. It'll be very hard for them to get there without winning the SEC now, though, for sure.
See, now Alabama would be a perfect place for Manning to portal to. He'd start right away at Alabama, I think.
Well, the Bama fans were taunting him yesterday pretty good, as it was if you watched game day yesterday morning, because he was one of the teams that he turned down. I thought he'd have been better off in the SEC myself. I thought he was going to go to Ole Miss. I really did.
Well, he is going to be in the SEC next year.
Well, that's a good point. Well, I meant at that time. That's a great point, though, Jim. And you know what? He could end up transferring out of there. Obviously, there's no guarantees that anybody stays where they are at all.
That is true. That is true.
So Excalibur
LSU.
Good.
Maybe.
That's a possibility too. So Excalibur Iron Force likes what he sees from UNC against Arkansas.
Yeah. UNC won the game, but it wasn't Arkansas, it was Appalachian State.
Oh, sorry, Appalachian State University. That's right.
App State played it, and they've upset teams before.
Last year they upset Texas A&M.
They had a chance to win at the end. The kid just missed them in the end zone. The kid was open in overtime. They had a chance to at least tie the score and potentially win it. So it was a great game.
That is a well-coached team, Appalachian State.
They are.
Absolutely. They can play with almost anybody. So Miami, Texas Tech. Was that surprising that Miami beat Texas Tech the way they did?
Texas A&M. These are 2 programs that have been underperforming for quite a while. This is going to put some more pressure on Jimbo Fisher losing this game at Texas A&M. This is a big win for Miami because they haven't won this type of game in a long, long time.
True. Even
when they had good teams, they were losing these types of games right and left, even at home. So this is and they played really well. Van Dyke played really well yesterday. That's as good as I've seen him play in his time at Miami. And this is a really good win for Mike heading into.
He's got a coordinator that's pretty good.
The new one he brought in, he brought in 2 new coordinators. He turned over his coaching staff this year.
Yeah, but that coordinator, I know him personally. He's really a good football player.
I liked what he did yesterday.
So Duke is starting to produce some football teams now, Keith. They're not just a basketball school. That quarterback they got there is pretty good.
Yeah, he does. He's a dual threat. He runs the ball well. He played great against Clemson last Monday night. I don't think you'll see his numbers will never stick out at you, but when you watch him play, he just makes plays. It was impressive. Again, Duke, like Florida State, came back and backed up what they did last week, I think. I know Duke didn't play a great opponent, but at least they won big. So it's a good
What's
program.
fascinating about him, Keith, you know where he's from, right?
No,
he's from Alabama. He's from Birmingham, Alabama, and he was recruited more for basketball than football.
Interesting.
Very interesting.
Alabama had him right in his hands. They could have a quarterback right now.
Yeah.
Wow. So let's turn to the NFL here. What is going on with your quarterback situation over there? And Matt Corral not reporting. Nobody knows where he is. They got the hounds out looking for him right now. And what's going on, Keith?
Nobody has a clue. I mean, they were ready to release him, but then they put him on this other list that I didn't even know existed.
Exempt,
left camp or something like that.
Said he had mental health problems.
Yeah, I think there's some story going on there that's not totally been, delved into, but I think they were going to make this move anyway. I think Zappe was going to get brought back to the 53-man roster. Maybe they would not have released Corral, but him not showing up for couple of days certainly sealed his fate. And again, if he's got issues going on, I hope he gets the help that he needs, because I like the kid. I think he could be a good backup quarterback in the NFL, but it's a tough mental grind. I'm sure Jim can speak to that.
No question.
And I'm glad, and I hope the league continues to kind of look at that side of the game, the mental side that these guys struggle with sometimes.
How come, Keith, the Patriots weren't aware of these things before they picked him up? I mean, there has to be signs out there why he wasn't going to play for the Panthers and why they drafted somebody else. I mean, there had to be signs out there. Are the coaches talking to each other anymore over there?
Well, I think they're talking to each other, and how much due diligence they did, I don't know. They might have been just looking to bring him in and see what happened, and that's when they found out what happened. There's nothing lost here, he wasn't. There's no money, so
he was out the year last year with Carolina, and we assumed there was a physical injury. And Carolina also had Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold last year, so we thought maybe he slipped back on the depth chart, but maybe there were bigger issues that Carolina just wasn't.
Well, I might be wrong. I think there was something that happened in his family. Someone passed away. I'm not sure of that.
Now or then?
Back then, because if you remember, there was some issues with his family.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll hear more about that story in the next couple of days. So, and I hope the kids.
Pickles all over it with our first Mel Brooks, comment. So the show can go on. Thanks, Pickles, for that.
Listen, I always appreciate a good Mel Brooks.
I do all the time. I think Mel Brooks is underrated as as that goes. What's up with Bill Belichick and his girlfriends? The Patriots executive offices are all worried that she's going to go on social media. Do you know what's going on there, Keith?
They've been in the process of a breakup, and they are worried that I don't know what they're worried about. I mean, she went off on Tom Brady in a tweet after he won a Super Bowl, and supposedly they're worried that she's a loose cannon. I don't know whether they got videotapes. I don't know. I don't need to see if there's any out there.
Is there a dark, mysterious side to Bill Belichick? That's all I want to know.
There's no story out there at all. Listen, did she say anything that wasn't true after the Super Bowl? She said no one focused on the Buccaneer defense. Right. They were the main reason the Buccaneers won that Super Bowl. Brady did his job. He did a great job, but it was the Buccaneer defense, so she wasn't lying.
Oh, she's a Nashville girl.
Just go find somebody more age appropriate, Bill, and we'll be fine.
I don't know. He's right away, as Pickle says, he's dating another young girl out of Nashville.
Well, Keith, doesn't Belichick put in too many hours to have a social life? I don't get this.
I saw him at the best Celtics basketball games.
Oh, okay.
During the offseason, I hope.
Yeah.
I would love to hear Bill Belichick's pickup line, because he doesn't seem like the most hippest guy out there. I mean,
this pickup line is walking with all those rings.
He walks in with the rings. He goes, "We're on to the Marriott."
Is that how he does it? I mean, no facial expression. Would you like me to buy you a drink? I mean, what is going on? I mean, that's got to be
like my cut-off sweatshirt.
Next question, please.
Well, in a case reportedly,
he's got the hoodie going. I mean, go ahead, Jack.
Keith, reportedly Belichick's relationship with Robert Kraft, that was said to be shaky, looks to be on solid ground again. Kraft's claiming how happy he is with Belichick. There are no red flags at this moment.
At this moment, yeah. Wins, the losses will change that. Wins will change that.
It changes with everything.
I think Kraft's much happier because we have a more stable structure going into the season. Yeah, they've settled on a quarterback. They've got somebody to help that quarterback reach his, whatever his heights are. And I think Kraft's happy about that. I think he was very unhappy with the way Belichick approached all of last season and treated the quarterback. He wasn't happy with the way he dealt with Mac Jones.
Kraft had a special relationship with Tom Brady and Drew Bledsoe. In fact, they were both invited to Kraft's wedding a year or so ago. Does he have that type of relationship with Mac Jones?
I wouldn't say it's there yet, but from what I've seen the last couple of months, it's growing that he's much closer to the older than he was. And one of the reasons
Pickles.
say?
Come on. I mean, well, maybe.
You
I
know,
don't
this
know.
stuff shouldn't get put. You know, I mean, we
But
love
hey-
pickles, but don't put this stuff on.
Why are you joking?
Oh,
Isn't Kraft's wife young too, or a girlfriend?
Well, she's in her late 50s at least. I
Oh,
think.
she's in her late 50s.
And she's
Yeah,
not.
well,
I mean, she's also a doctor, very accomplished doctor as well. So it's not like it's some
Wait,
waitress at
Wait, Keith, age-wise, I don't think she's in the late 50s. Didn't she have a baby like a few years ago? Then she would have had to have it in the mid.
I feel like she's at least in her mid 50s. She's in her 50s. Let's put it that way.
He had a baby a couple of years, like 1 or 2 years ago, right?
He is 80 something years old. So again, it's still probably
It's still 30 years, but I mean, listen.
Robert Kraft's been one of the great owners in sports, so let's give
Why
him
is he not nominated for the Hall of Fame?
He was nominated.
He was nominated. He didn't get in.
He just didn't get in. Yeah.
He will get in. I think some of the owners, I don't know. It could it be jealousy? I don't know. Could it be the controversy with the whole Florida massage parlor thing? Maybe he'll get in. I think they might want to make him wait. Not the owners, I shouldn't say, but the writers. Bob Kraft it's not just a team that he's had. He's been very important in the league in general as far as being on all these committees.
I agree.
So I'm a little shocked. But
Keith, I'm gonna get your take on this. Of course, the Philly sports guy should be, and we'll get his take. You're playing the runner-up Super Bowl NFC champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. What a way to start off your season. What do you think the Pats got to do to stay in this game and maybe beat the Eagles at home?
Well, it's not that hard, I guess. No turnovers. Keep Jalen Hurts off the field. Special teams need to play really well, and don't get into a track meet with these guys because I don't think they can keep up. If they keep the score down, and with that said, I think my final score is 35-31 Eagles. I think that's what it'll be. But
is it at New England, Keith?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Listen, I think they're going to get
Tom Brady Day, Jim. They're honoring Tom Brady at halftime.
Yeah, they're going to get a little boost of energy, I think, maybe from the whole Tom Brady thing, the excitement in the crowd.
Let me ask you this question, Keith, and I'm talking about this. Philadelphia plays at New England, then they have to play at Minnesota, correct?
I believe that's correct. Yes.
That's very unusual that you have a Monday or a game on Sunday and then have to travel again on Thursday. You only get 1 day of practice.
Yeah, that's probably not fair. Not fair to the Eagles, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but
I was just curious.
You're going to get these scheduling quirks because of TV and whatnot, obviously.
Hey,
But
there's another storyline no one thought about. The Brady ceremonies at halftime, and obviously Belichick has to be there for part of it. And can you imagine Belichick wanting to be in the locker room with the players? He has a game. That's where his head's really going to be at. He's probably going to be ticked off. No disrespect to Tom Brady, that he's got to be on the field and for a little bit of the ceremony at least.
I don't think he'll be there.
Jim, you know this as well as I do. During
that?
halftime, the head coach is very overrated. It's the position coaches that work with the players.
Yes.
That's what all adjustments are made.
He just said something at the end.
The head coach just says go out there and win or something. That's all he does.
if this team's down 2 touchdowns, you're not going to see him during that ceremony. I can tell you right now. Just because it's a bad. Here's the thing, too. He's not going to be there, and he's got football things to do. And it's going to be a story that Bill Belichick wasn't part of the ceremony. And then you should have done it before the game, not at halftime, in my mind.
I would agree.
I heard Stevenson may not play. If that's true, then you have Jim's old running back there maybe playing more than we thought he would.
They officially list him as questionable, but he was a full participant in practice on Friday, and they expect him to go today, at least to start with. We'll see how long that lasts, but he's a big cog in several fantasy teams of mine, so he better play today.
Well, Ezekiel Elliott, the Patriots in trouble if Ezekiel Elliott has to be their featured back today.
Totally agree.
Back?
Totally agree.
For one game?
No, I mean, against the Eagles today, yeah, I think if they don't have Stevenson, it'll certainly hamper their chances to win this game for sure. Best thing we have going for, and I think we talked about Friday, is it's week 1, and everything's sloppy. Nobody's crisp yet, and so this is the best time to get the Eagles is right now.
Yeah,
they're going to beat them. They've got a better chance of beating them week 1 than week 10.
That is true.
All right.
Hello,
So Robert Butler
Hey,
from
Keith.
Sportscope comes in.
The little
He sticks
tag
around to
team
say
in and
hi. I
tag
know he's
team
gotta
out.
go.
And
Yes.
Have a
All
great
right,
day,
Keith.
Keith.
Have a good one, folks.
Have a great day.
Keith on TGI Sports Talk. Check him out. Good morning to you, Robert from Sportscope. How you doing today, buddy?
Good. How's it going today?
Good morning, Robert.
Like Christmas, guys, for us football fans.
Yes.
Yes, it is. First full NFL Sunday, and of course the Monday night game. Robert, of course, there's always big stories running around the NFL. During the beginning of the season, especially. What do you think about Nick Bosa being the highest paid non-quarterback now in football?
Well, I mean, they've got Brock Purdy, the last player drafted year before last, this past draft. Got him on that rookie deal. Bosa, defensive player of the year, 18.5 sacks. They need to go all in. That it's kind of a roadmap, guys, right? You get a quarterback on a rookie contract where he's affordable and you just load the team around him. I know it's really high, but they can swing it right now, and they want to get a championship. They've gotten 2 consecutive national NFC championship games, and so be it. He is a lineman, pass rusher, between a pass rusher and a tackle. Other than a left tackle, I'm okay with it personally.
Hey, Keith, this is interesting.
Robert.
I'm Robert. Sorry, Robert.
Keith's probably still thinking about you, Coach.
I'm getting Mac. I'm getting like Mac now, Robert. But this is interesting. Did you know they redid Eric Armstead's contract?
Yes.
And they have the most salary under the cap right now.
And they signed Gerard Hargrave in the offseason. This defense could be better than it has been in the past. They never really had I like Armstead, though. I'm a big Eric Armstead fan. I like him. And Hargrave, they brought over from the Eagles with Bosa. They're a little shaky on the secondary, but it's more about the front guys. The old adage is they make the secondary. You guys make the secondary look good. So I think he'll probably be on the snap count today, but you never know. They may go after another midway type of deal around the trade deadline coming up in November. A lot of teams do that nowadays.
Now, the next question I got, they got to go all the way across the country.
Yes.
And Jack doesn't agree with me, but they're playing in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
Which is already a difficult place to play. And they're playing, at 10 o'clock in the morning?
Right.
And I think that's difficult. I know from a personal experience, it's not as easy as people think.
Jim, you kept those late nights. That's why it was difficult.
Yeah, I was partying all night. So.
Yeah. No.
Well, I imagine with Nick Bosa, with all that money he's making, he's probably partying a lot too right now. So, it does affect people, I would imagine, Robert.
Yes. Yeah. Something that I think with Bosa probably be on the snap count, we're not sure if Kittle's going to play.
That's true.
I would probably give that edge. I mean, for points people out there, they're getting 2.5 points at home. The Steelers are. I wouldn't be surprised if they win this week. Plus, Brock Purdy coming off a really serious surgery where he got hit. Maybe he's kind of fearing T.J. Watt coming at him, who had, 4 or 5 sacks against Joe Burrow this time last year. Remember, they got a big upset last year.
Yeah.
Steelers. So that's the place is going to be rocking today, man.
Big time.
There's no doubt about it.
Would you trust in Mike Tomlin, the best coach currently in the NFL?
The best coach?
Currently. I'm not talking about accomplishments. Super Bowl.
He's one of them.
He's one of them. I mean, he hasn't gone to the Super Bowl in a while, so I don't know if he
18 consecutive winning seasons. That's better than winning one particular Super Bowl. That's historic. 18 years in a row of winning records. Come on.
That's better than winning a Super Bowl, Jack. You're contradicting yourself.
I think the quality of work is better. The quality of work. You're
contradicting yourself again. Hey, so let's talk about the Rams. Great segue, Jack. So the Rams minus Cooper Kupp now, and how long is he going to be out? I mean, the Rams are in rough shape as it is, and losing their best receiver hurts even more.
Well, he's got put on IR. He's going to miss a minimum of 4 games, guys. He went and saw a hamstring specialist in Minnesota. Not only they got the Mayo Clinic up there, they got the hamstring people up there in Minnesota. So the Rams are going to be in trouble today, I believe. They've got 2 cornerbacks that are starting. One was a 4th-round pick last year, and another one was a 6th-round pick. They look. By the way, I'm reading today, guys. Teams were inquiring about Matt Stafford in the offseason.
All that.
Yeah, and he was supposedly, his word versus management. Matt Stafford claims that they asked him to take a pay cut, and they say no. He says yes. I believe they probably did. I believe the Rams are probably. They may move off Stafford this year. They're probably going to win maybe 5 to 6 games if they're lucky. And they're going to be a mess about like Arizona. That's a 2-team race there. But, hey, this is the price you pay for the route they took to get that Super Bowl ring.
And they paid guys out of loyalty, Aaron Donald, to give him the big contract after the Super Bowl. I mean, you want to stay loyal to the player, but you have to be a little realistic. Donald's not going to be the same force going forward.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I would not be shocked if Donald is traded before the deadline.
Yes.
I keep telling you that. There's going to be some team that needs an impact player like him, and they're going to take a chance and get him.
And Pickles, of course, says no cup, no
cup, no cookies.
You're making me think of a Chris Jones, Aaron Donald trade. The Rams pay Chris Jones the money he wants.
They're not going to be in the position for that. Because if they were
why would Chris Jones want to go from the Chiefs?
Well, it wouldn't be his choice.
I mean,
trade him.
Why would he? I don't know if there's a no trade clause or not, Jack. I mean, I would have to see what the specifics of his contract are. So, I mean, I know I wouldn't want to go to the Rams. And he could force.
Well, if you get your money, you'd go anywhere.
I don't necessarily believe that.
They're not in the Super Bowl contender, Jack.
That's right.
Maybe the Chargers will go after Aaron Donald.
That's a possibility.
Come across town. They've got, they still got some money left in there in the window.
There was talk earlier about Detroit earlier in the season, Robert. So, one of those teams that are close. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about Joe Burrow's biggest contract in NFL history.
Yes.
Injury prone or not, I don't know if you could call him injury prone, but he's been hurt before and missed part of the season. Going against the Browns, I'll use one of Jim's stats that he likes to use so much. He hasn't beaten the Browns ever. So there you go. So what's going to happen?
He beat them last year, one time.
Did he?
Yeah, he's 1-4 though against this group.
Yeah, but he hasn't beat them in Cleveland.
And they play in Cleveland today. Denzel Ward's back. That'll be an interesting game. He's supposedly been a full participant in practice. They were really careful with that calf injury that he got at the beginning of training camp there. But listen, guys, he's not got the most guaranteed money. There's a website called Spot Track. They handle all the contracts and everything. They give you information is much more than I can ever find on contracts. Deshaun Watson still got more guaranteed money. It's $219 for Joe Burrow, $230 for Deshaun Watson. So he did take a little bit of he could have really been played hardball and say, I want $250 guaranteed. And he probably would have got it.
The chances are they're going they're going to ask. Chances are they're going to ask Burrow to redo his contract at the end of the year. People Chase Young and T. Higgins. Yeah.
And they still got to pay the other receiver too.
Yes.
So.
And I wouldn't pay both of them, but I think he wants them both to be paid and stay there.
I don't blame him.
And that's a heck of a combo out there. That's for sure.
Yeah.
the NFL has something called the Premier Patch. You tell folks about that, Robert.
Yeah, I was reading about that story when you sent me that, and it's pretty interesting. I mean, you're in the top 1% of the NFL. I mean, of your field. And this is on the NFL.com. It says today the National Football League announced that they'll do the NFL Premier Patch for the league's first ever jersey patch program to recognize and celebrate the rookie's first game in the NFL. How about Brian Branch for the Detroit Lions? First game in NFL, he gets a pick six. He was a rookie out of Alabama. So, that jersey's already worth something. They beat the Super Bowl champs there. So I think it's a really cool thing to do. I wish they would have did that years ago. I mean, don't you think that was awesome? Your first jersey. You still got your first jersey, Jim?
That was cool. Do I still have it? Yes.
Okay, awesome. 1983.
Just hang it up on Mac's wall.
Yes, it is. He did have it. That's me and Jim are like, yes. Me and Jim
Robert, wink, wink.
me and Jim are like that kid with Mean Joe Green. I gave him a Coke. He threw me his jersey. So we put that up on the wall.
Here, have a sweaty jersey, kid.
There you go.
Don't wash it. It's got to be more authentic.
No, the producer Linda demanded he wash it before he sent it to me.
He did.
Interesting in Arizona, Josh Dobbs, a quarterback that's been with a bunch of teams, is starting for the Cardinals. What's going on with their starting quarterback over there with brain freeze?
Kyler Murray, yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
I was talking about this earlier, Mac, a few weeks ago before the season started, and there's been speculation that Kyler Murray, that the team is going to try to withhold, going back to that spot track, they're going to try to withhold him from playing this year as a possibility. Michael Lombardi, who's on Pat McAfee show, talked about it, former NFL executive, to save money. There's speculation. I'm a speculator that they're trying to, they meaning Michael Bidwell, the owner of the Arizona Cardinals, he's trying to get out of this Kyler Murray contract, tank, and go after one of those big quarterbacks that are going to be available. They're going to have possibly the top pick, possibly two top picks, because Houston has gave them their first round pick as well. The Dobbs thing, he has some familiarity with the offensive Drew Pitzing, the offensive coordinator for Arizona, going back to one of his stops, one being in Cleveland there. So there's the relationship there.
Rob, how do you get out of the Kyler Murray contract? Unless he's insubordinate, to the team. How do you get out of it?
Well, it's just less guaranteed money.
Yeah.
But you got to pay him guaranteed money.
If he's injured during the season, he gets his money. But if he's not injured during the season, then they can do so. They don't want him injured because they're afraid of that. The contract's guaranteed, but less money is guaranteed if he's not injured.
Let me throw this at you. I know the way, Jim, you feel about Kyler Murray, but if Kyler Murray has matured, why would you want to get rid of him? He's an elite quarterback if he's matured.
Go ahead, Robert.
Oh, well, I think the speculation is that Michael Bidwell, the owner, this is what I think he's thinking. He gave Murray the extension, and he gave Cliff Kingsbury the extension at the same time to keep that pair together. And somewhere midway through the season, he figured he bleeped up, and he's got to redo the whole thing and reshuffle these cards.
I agree. And I think that the problem is also Murray could go back to baseball and be an outfielder.
Yeah.
Shortstop.
Yeah. No, he's an outfielder.
Yeah. And there's plenty of teams
that drafted him as a shortstop, I thought.
No. Oakland
I think he's a pitcher.
As an outfielder.
Outfielder, okay.
But also, do you really think the problem is now everybody knows that he doesn't study enough? And every team that's looking at him, he is a physical talent, but you also got to look at it. Is this the guy you want leading your team? And that's the question you got to ask.
Right. It's a $64,000 question. Plus, you got to think about teams like Minnesota, who's going to want another quarterback next year. Maybe Desmond Ridder in Atlanta doesn't work out. I mean, there's a potential suitors. We know the talent's there. He's got a great deep ball.
Yes.
A change can always do him good, like the Sheryl Crow song says. Sometimes a new environment would be good for a player. There's always an arrogant coach who thinks he can fix them. There's some ego out there.
Robert, Sheryl Crow fan. I didn't know that about Robert.
I love Sheryl Crow. She lives here in Tennessee, about 30 miles away from me.
Yeah.
Robert,
and Pickles said they can save 40% by not playing Murray.
Yeah, it's mumbo jumbo in the contract. I'm not a lawyer, but that's basically what I get out of it.
Robert, I what surprises me is if that is what's going to happen, the NFLPA doesn't step in and do something about that. File something. I mean, just to keep him out so he doesn't get injured, that doesn't seem right to me.
But
Arizona's got some issues, Robert, right? With the burner phone and all that stuff.
Who does? Murray?
Arizona, the Cardinals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Something, I come up with the idea that possibly this is so blatant, this tanking, guys. What if they go to our talks of going to the NBA lottery system?
No one is going to tank amongst the players.
Right.
The
That's
players
my point.
are auditioning for another job somewhere else. They're
Right.
borderline players. Whoever Arizona plays, they're not going to let up.
I agree.
Mean, the coach could maybe form lineups certain ways if need be, but the players are 100%.
But if he did do that, that would be under a microscope. Everybody would know he's doing that, and then he's out of a job, and then his reputation is ruined. That's not going to happen. When they were tanking for Tua, Miami was playing a lot better than people thought. In fact, I think they won some of them games, even though they got to it. But they sure were playing.
They knocked New England out of a bye at the end of the year. I mean, they came on. Even the Jets, when they looked like they might get Trevor Lawrence at the first overall pick, they went into L.A. and they beat a good Ram team.
Right.
I agree.
It would be the management does it. They would put backups in there.
Well,
Jack.
the management hopes kind of maybe they lose towards the end if there's a franchise quarterback to take. But
I just don't think Arizona's very good.
I don't either.
Will they win a game this year, Arizona? That's the question.
That is a big question.
To be or not to be.
Everybody was talking about Arizona when they jumped out to that 11-0 the first year they got there, and now it's just it's a mess over there. What do you got else for us, Robert, on the big stories that you got over there for us?
There is a pretty big story. ESPN and Spectrum. I'm working on this next. We're talking 2 weeks, guys. 2 weeks. One's blaming the other. People cannot get ABC. They miss college football games.
Yes.
You've got Monday night coming up. Spectrum or Disney is saying, Disney's saying go to Hulu and pay $70. You can go to Hulu.
Or what's the name of it?
YouTube
Fubai?
TV.
Is it Fubai?
Oh, I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's even bigger stories and you're using right there is have you heard what's going on in Michigan State? This is huge.
No.
There has been a sexual assault charge filed against Mel Tucker.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you got to read that one.
Hey, he's just got an extension too.
Yes.
Massive extension.
And this lady,
wow.
The lady, she came in when we were at Colorado. She came to talk to her players. That's what she does. She was sexually assaulted, and she talks to, it was by football players.
Oh, wow.
Her prison time. And I don't know how Mel Tucker, and they said it's alleged. So it's nothing, but it's going to be a huge story because she. That is huge.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard for it's a big payout for Michigan State. They can afford it, but that's an
it's alleged now.
Yeah, it's still
alleged. That's the key word. I mean, let's wait and see if it actually happened. It's extremely serious.
Tucker said it was consensual.
Major consequences,
but this would be big.
Yeah, let's see what transpires
Yeah.
with this.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I'll look into that next week, guys. Yeah, that's an interesting one to follow.
All right, Robert. Anything else for us before we let you go?
Something the Alabama issue here, the transfer portal. I tell you guys, this is really leveled out teams.
Yes.
I read that they lost like 10 players in the transfer portal. So now we have to not rank players on recruiting classes, rank teams on recruiting rankings like we have in the past. This thing, I mean, you see Texas won yesterday. Congratulations, Jim.
Mhm.
It really has, and it's hard to get. I mean, I picked Alabama, LSU, and Clemson to go to the playoff, and they've all three got losses the first 2 weeks.
Wow.
That's why Deion Sanders right now is so effective. He's playing by the new
Yes,
rules.
it's a
Yeah.
expansion team, guys.
And the
That's really what it is.
older coaches are playing by the old rules. And it's good. I'm glad Alabama and these other teams are losing because they would stack their teams with players that they promised that would start, and they were like third stringers and they never saw the field. So good for Alabama and these big teams.
You got to adjust with the times. You get left behind.
I guess so. You're right.
That's it, guys.
All right, Robert, thank you for coming in. We'll see you next week. Everybody follow Robert Butler at Sportscope. He's all over social media. Thank you, Robert, for coming in.
Well, we won't see Robert a lot now because he'll be in the van.
Rob, what are you picking to win the Super Bowl again?
Okay. Cincinnati over the 49ers, the opposite of the 89 Super Bowl. How about that?
I picked the Bengals over the Eagles in the Super Bowl, so we're kind of on the same page. Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Watch out. Jack starts doing that, buddying up to you. He's going to want something.
But if they slip up, Cincinnati,
gonna say it's bad luck.
if they slip up.
No. Okay, Robert, have a good one, bud.
Have a good show, guys.
All right.
So there you go, folks. So while we got a little time here, I guess we can give our underdog picks before Pags comes on. Of course, he'll be coming in live from. I think he'll still be at the hotel. We shall see. But let's go ahead.
There's no need to fear. Underdog is here. When criminals in this world appear and break the laws that they should fear and frighten all who see or hear, the cry goes up both far and near for
That's right. This is our underdog picks for this week, folks. If you got any underdog picks out there, go ahead and put it in our comments. We'll check you out too. So my underdog pick, guys, for this week is going to be the Jets. I thought about taking the Giants. I like the Steelers. So I think there's quite a few underdog picks out there you can go with. But I think the Jets will beat Buffalo, and they may beat them by a touchdown or more. So I'm going to go with Jets +2 at home, beating the Buffalo Bills. What do you got,
You stole my pick, Mac. You said it just about the way I would say it, too. The Jets are my underdog pick. 2 points on a lot of points,
What?
Take it, whatever. So basically, we're picking to win, for the Jets to win the game outright. You kind of wonder whether things are going to unravel for the Bills this year. They're counting on James Cook to be their featured back to have a breakout season. I don't know about that. Stephon Diggs, is the discontent going to surface sooner rather than later? Is Josh Allen going to be relying on his legs too much? Buffalo's defense, which is solid, nevertheless isn't one of the elite defenses in the NFL. But I like the Jets in that game. 9-11, everything is in place for the Jets to kind of dazzle this game at the Meadowlands. It might be a tough game, but I like the Jets 34-20, actually.
Oh, all right, 34-20. Wow. What do you got, Jim, over there for your underdog?
I like Las Vegas over Denver as my underdog one.
Okay.
I think
Russell Wilson, is it going to be a comeback year for him or not?
no, I don't think so.
That's pretty.
Nothing against Russell. I think Russell is just, I think they're another team that's probably going to be looking for a new quarterback.
And their receiver, Jerry Jeudy, is going to be out too. Their main receiver for Denver, which will help the Raiders. The Raiders are dysfunctional, Jim.
They are dysfunctional, but they do have some talent on defense and offense. And they did play better in the preseason than they have, and the preseason doesn't really mean anything. So,
well, Josh Jacobs was out for part of it, so is he going to be ready to go week 1? Is he?
Well, you think about it. The top running backs, most of them, Saquon Barkley, who's probably the best one in the league right now, didn't play any in the preseason.
He was in early in camp, though. He came in pretty early.
And then Pollard for the Cowboys, and you look around the league, backs don't play much in preseason anymore. So I don't think that's going to. I think that's where they're going to get him at, is with Jacobs. And nobody's talking about Devontae Adams. He's still one of the best in the league. So
yeah, Devontae Adams, nobody wants to talk. He wanted too much money, Jim. That's what the problem
is. Jimmy G ready or what?
Yeah, he'll be fine in this scheme. And everybody forgets, who did he play for in New England?
Josh McDaniels, yeah.
So he understands the system.
Well, Brian Hoyer, too, the backup for Josh McDaniels. So, you see these coaches who like to bring their old guys. That's their guys, the comfort zone. They could trust their guys.
Mac, who thinks the greatest coach in the world was Bill Parcells. He does that. He did that all the time.
Mac liked Bill Parcells as a human being, as a person, too. It's not just as a coach.
Hey, listen, he takes care of his older players. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he did.
Report came out, Mac, that Bill Parcells gave close to $4 million to former players.
Yeah, he did do that. That's
nice, yeah. Kudos to Bill Parcells.
Pickles has Miami beating the Chargers, and that's in L.A. That's a good
pick. That's a good pick, Pickles. But I think the Chargers will win. But that's not a bad pick.
It could go either way, I think, too, with that. So I don't think it's a bad pick either. Let's start breaking down some of the other games that were out there. In fact, we'll talk a little bit about Miami and the Chargers right now. Listen, you had Tua and you had Herbert that were, they were the two quarterbacks that Miami could have took either one. They ended up taking Tua. Do you think Miami regrets that now?
No, why should they regret it? At the time, it was the right thing to do. Herbert was highly regarded. With Tua, the main question was the injury factor. It's still a major question with all the concussions. If they had a chance to have a do-over, obviously they'd take Justin Herbert. But if Tua stays healthy, he might turn out to be the better quarterback amongst the two. It's not Tua's performance. He started his career a little slowly. But Tua has the potential of being an elite quarterback if he stays healthy.
Jimmy, you agree with that?
I agree, Jack. Jack makes good sense. I don't know, how can you look in the future and say, oh, Herbert's going to be this and that, because Herbert was okay in college, but Tua won championship.
Well, let me tell you how you do that. When Tua gets hurt, dislocating his hip, playing in college, and they draft him before Herbert. That's how you judge that. Herbert's bigger. He's 6'4". Tua is what, 5'11", maybe 6 foot. Well, so I think he is. I think Miami made a huge mistake. Especially
we didn't know how good Herbert was going to be.
Before he got injured.
Especially draft. Well, but he did get injured. So, I mean, why wouldn't you take Herbert instead of Miami? I think that was a bad move on Miami.
I just thought, I don't know if you do that.
I think Miami would have already been maybe in the playoffs if they had Herbert instead of Tua.
Mac, and Justin Herbert's progression got sped up by accident. We didn't know how good he was going to be. Tyrod Taylor was supposed to start, and right before game 1, they rushed Herbert in. If nothing happened to Tyrod Taylor, there's a possibility he would have carried a clipboard for the year.
Oh, he wouldn't have carried a clipboard. He would have got in that year.
We don't know for sure.
Well, you don't know for sure either. I'm just saying, Herbert is a lot more talented than Tyrod Taylor, and
obviously, but we didn't know how good Justin Herbert was really going to be. I mean,
we'll find out today, because I would. To me,
if the guy got hurt, dislocated hip at college, I wouldn't have drafted him first. That's all I'm saying. I don't think
Well,
that's
that's fair. It's the
outrageous.
injury fact. I understand. Yeah.
And I don't know what the heck Pickles is saying. Throw up on your own time, Bill Parcells. Don't be talking about my head coach like that. I love you. You're great on the show. But if you're going to talk about Bill Parcells, one of the greatest coaches in the history of NFL, and also giving $4 million to players that are in problems, you're saying throw up on your own time? That's
Well, right. As much as Bill Belichick wouldn't want to admit Bill Parcells had a tremendous influence on him because he acts the way Bill Parcells did. So that was kind of a role model for him, even though he wouldn't want to admit that.
Okay. San Francisco at Pittsburgh, guys. Nick Bosa just signed. I hear a lot about the Pittsburgh defense, and they're not talking about the San Francisco defense, the best in the league last year. They're back. They're healthy. One of the best linebackers in the league. It's going to be a physical game. Two quarterbacks that are game managers. I don't care what they say. Pickett is not a gunslinger by any means. So Pittsburgh will play close to the vest. So will San Francisco. And this is going to be a low-scoring game, I think, guys.
3 sacks for TJ Watt today. He wreaks havoc. He's a game changer today. That's what I see. And Brock Purdy, he's got to be rusty. It was touch and go whether Purdy would even be ready for opening game. And being on the shelf so long, I mean, how sharp can he be? You don't think the Steelers are going to get ready for a lot of, short dump-off passes and the running game of the Niners? I mean, Purdy's not stretching the field at all today. And I like Pittsburgh in that game in Pittsburgh. And I think it's going to be a close game, tough game. And like we talked about last week, what about the 49er kicking game? That's going to be so unpredictable.
That was going to be my point. You kind of stole it from me, Jack.
Okay.
Right. They're playing in Pittsburgh. They're traveling across the country. I know you guys don't think that's big, but if you remember last year, the 49ers started off slow, and they're going to start off slow this year. And I think the Pickett and the Pickens are going to give them some issues. I think San Francisco's got a tremendous running game, but their offensive line hasn't played like they can yet. They kind of get themselves into shape, and I just think Pittsburgh's going to upset them.
I think San Francisco's running game is better than Pittsburgh's running game. Passing game, maybe give the passing game to Pittsburgh. I don't know. It's preseason.
I wouldn't give them because you got Deebo Sanders and Brandon Ayuk. And Kittle might not play, but you got 2 big-time receivers.
Got Najee Harris for the Steelers. I mean, he missed a fair part of last year, as did TJ Watt.
Yeah.
And having those guys, if they're healthy for the full year, don't tell me isn't going to make the Steelers better.
I just like the Steelers in this game.
Okay. Cincinnati at the Browns. Does Watson get back to his old form when he first came in? If he does, what does that mean this game, guys?
Listen, I'm picking the Bengals to win the Super Bowl, so I'm not going to pick them to lose today. But playing in Cleveland, a tough place to play. I wonder, could things get ugly in Cleveland quick if they lose decisively today to their main rival, basically the Bengals? Deshaun Watson, tell me this, Jim, you played the game. You think he lost anything with the inactivity to the point where he's never going to be the same again? Or is it just a question of rust and getting back what he had? He's certainly young enough.
I think that, and this is my opinion on it, I think Cleveland's going to win this game. First of all, Burrows has never won in Cleveland. Next is I just think Deshaun Watson, and what you said, no, I think he's going to be better this year. I think he's going to be closer to the Deshaun Watson we saw in the past because he's had a whole offseason. Excuse me. He's had a whole preseason, and I think that's going to show up in today's game. Although Cincinnati's very good, they're another slow starting team because you remember at the beginning of last season, they struggled in the beginning of the year. As the season progressed, they got better, which is better because it's not a sprint, it's a marathon.
I would.
But
I
you
would.
know, Deshaun Watson doesn't really have a number one receiver. Don't tell me Amari Cooper
Oh my
and
goodness.
Elijah Moore. They're good. They're good secondary receivers. They're not star receivers.
Ooh, I agree.
But they're not like Shea. Yeah, they're not like what the Bengals have there.
No.
I mean, both of those guys would be the number 3 or number 4 receiver if they want Cincinnati.
So Bengals quarterback Joe Burrows has a calf issue. There's no doubt about that. Cleveland has a good pass rush.
Yes.
I mean, do you think Myles Garrett gets a few sacks today? Maybe that turns the tide over there.
That's where the emphasis hasn't been, and we've always talked about that in Cincinnati is the offensive line, and they still have offensive line issues.
So, I mean, I like Cleveland. I think Cleveland takes it to Cincinnati today. The streak stays where it is. I think they can run the ball. I think Watson is an athletic quarterback. Burrows is going to be sitting in the pocket trying to get rid of the ball fast, and we'll see what happens.
Joe Mixon is ready to go from, reports. So they might run the ball a little more.
But Nick Chubbs, you take Nick Chubbs over Mixon.
I would take Nick Chubbs over Mixon, yeah.
Going to be another great game. Green Bay at Chicago. A lot of people are saying because of preseason that Jordan Love's going to be great and Green Bay Packers are going to be okay. I hear there's rumblings in the wide receiver room. That's what I hear. Green Bay, Chicago. Listen, I think Chicago's going to have a real good team this year. I think that I no matter what happened in Detroit and KC, I still pick Chicago to win that division. So, what do you think, Jim?
Well, here's my thing on it. I think Chicago win this game because of the injuries in the receiving core at Green Bay. They get Doves back, but they're saying that he can't play his normal amount of plays, and then they lose the other receiver. I think that's the issue. I think everybody's going to blame it on Jordan Love, but it's going to be and we always talk about that on every team. Injuries are a factor, and I think the Bears are going to win. And Justin Fields is not going to be spectacular, but he'll be good enough.
Yeah, I don't see this whole hype around the Bears. So all of a sudden the Bears are contenders. They're this, they're that. They'll be a little better than they were last year. Maybe they'll win a couple of more games. But the Bears are still a developing team. Jordan Love isn't going to have Christian Watson, one of his primary targets. And that might hurt him. But how can Jordan Love not be ready? I mean,
no. I think it's not him. They got a good running game. But their receiving core is kind of a little bit beat up right now, and that's what I keep telling you. And everybody's going to blame it on Love, but I think Love will play good today. But I think Justin Fields has more players around him that can make plays. DJ Moore is really good. The running back is good.
But Green Bay has a better defense, I think, so that's going to factor in. And I don't think Justin Fields is going to hurt the Packers that much, him individually running. So I think the Packers just a little better. I don't think the Packers are rebuilding, okay, like the Bears are kind of rebuilding. I think they're kind of rebooting a bit. Not that they're going to make the playoffs. I don't think they will. But I think the Packers are an average team and the Bears are trending towards being average.
Good morning to the Philly sports guy. How you doing today, Pags?
Good morning. Doing well.
All right. So I know Pags is psyched. He's by somewhere by Gillette Stadium, ready to go over there and watch the Philadelphia Eagles play the Patriots. 4:00 game today, Pags. That's gonna get you. I know you leaving the same day. You staying overnight, Pags.
We got one more night to go.
There you go. That's the smart way to do it. So, Pags, I want to get your picks of their 3 favorite teams, the 3 teams that are favored. What would be your top 3 picks?
My top 3, obviously the first one is the Eagles because I don't think there's any chance that Tom Brady even coming back and playing in this game is going to make a difference. That I think we crush them in this game. The other couple of games that I was looking at, I'm like, well, the Ravens, Baltimore Ravens, against the Texans. I just think the Texans are going to start. And, even though this is like the preseason of the regular season, I just don't think that they're going to be put together just yet.
All right.
So I think the Ravens are going to win that one.
You think they're going to cover the spread, Pags, at 10? You think they'll beat them by more than 10?
So are we doing spreads or are we just doing wins?
Yes. 3 favorites by the spreads, Pags.
See, I need to have all this information in place beforehand because
I
10 figures is a lot of points in the first week of the season.
It sure is.
Yeah, so I don't know about that. If that was the case, well, I'm going to go with the Commanders.
Okay.
I think the Commanders will win by the spread.
Okay.
I got that at 7.
Yep.
And the Jags.
All right. Okay. So if you have an underdog that you would pick to cover the spread today, who would that be?
An underdog that will cover the spread.
Well, get under the spread, I should say.
Let's go. So I had a couple of them that I liked, in terms of underdogs that I thought are going to win today. First one being the Miami Dolphins.
Pick one, Pags. Don't go through the whole list. Mac wants one underdog. He doesn't want you to evaluate every single underdog. Pick one.
Jack wants to evaluate. You can't. So go ahead.
Stop crying over there, Jack. Just because my picks are better than your picks, and that you are all here to get out.
Will not lose today.
The Jets will not lose today.
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
They play on Monday, so they won't lose.
They will not lose today.
And make Pags that bet and give him odds.
I like the Dolphins as an upset pick.
All right. So Pags going with the Miami Dolphins as his upset. So we did this Friday, Pags, but I want to do this for the people that weren't here. Now, there's other things that have gone on now with the Patriots. Their quarterback that they got from the Panthers, Corral, disappeared. They're trying to find him or waiting for him to come back. And Belichick has broken up with his first girlfriend. The executives are all worried that she's gonna say something and get Bill rattled, and he's going out with a new girl. So does this affect how Bill Belichick is this going to be in his head more than the game, Pags? All these things going around.
No.
Okay. All right.
No. Yeah. Listen, there's a reason why Bill is single, because women are like really low down on his list.
Okay.
He realized die alone.
He was going out with that girl for 7 years or something back. So, that's why he hasn't been out with anybody else.
Well, and after 7 years, she still couldn't get him to settle down, and he's decided to move on to greener pastures.
Guys, right. The biggest storyline is how Mac Jones is going to perform in the offense.
And then Pags, throw that in with Tom Brady ceremony at halftime. So, I mean, there's a lot of things going around here with this game that has nothing to do with the game. I just want to get Pags' perspective because Pags normally has a unique perspective on these things. Go ahead, Pags.
I think all of that stuff is just, fodder to hide the fact that New England stinks.
Okay.
They just stink.
All right. So if you were Bill Belichick, this is what we did Friday, what would you do to be able to beat the Philadelphia Eagles?
Make sure they can't leave the locker room. So lock the door from the outside so that they can't get out.
Yeah, seriously.
That's about it. Really, I don't think that there's a chance. Like I said, he'd have to really slow down the game tremendously. That's all. That's about it. That's his really only option, to just literally make sure that they have the ball on, and they keep the ball away from the Eagles offense all game long.
Okay. Sort of what the Giants did against Buffalo in that Super Bowl. Just keep running the clock down. And of course, I would imagine you want to score touchdowns and not field goals too. So that would be important too, because the Eagles get the ball, they're going to go down the field pretty quickly. Even with the Patriots do have a great defense. I'm not going to take that away from them. They're normally pretty tight on special teams. I just don't think Philadelphia is the right team for them to start off with. That's all. It's kind of the luck of the draw there. So
Matt,
guys,
there are a lot of storylines. Every game seems to have a storyline, and one that slipped under the radar is the Baltimore Ravens. They have a new offensive coordinator who emphasizes the passing game. And think of that. This is going to be a test of Lamar Jackson this year, how well he could stay in the pocket. They want him to run less. He got his big contract, so he's cleared mentally. So, and they got him the receivers. They drafted receiver number 1, got OBJ. So they're ready to go. Is Lamar Jackson going to be a pocket passer, or is he going to just do what he does best? At the first sign of difficulty, he's going to take off and run.
I'm glad you did this, because I did want to get into the other games. I don't think Jackson is as bad a passer as people say. He's got a pretty good tight end over there that he's dependent on. He'll be playing. He's got a couple of receivers now. I think Jackson is as naturally a great athlete, and if things go wrong, he's going to run with the ball. There's no doubt about that. But that's what makes Baltimore so good. If he didn't run with the ball when there was trouble, of course, they wouldn't be that good. So I don't think Lamar Jackson is as bad a passer as we sometimes – I've been guilty of in the past too, that we say he's not accurate. That's not totally true. He is a decent passing quarterback.
By the way, Mac, I didn't get into the other game. I didn't even mention who they were playing. I was just focusing on Lamar Jackson.
Houston Texans with CJ.
Oh, you're getting into the other game, Mac. You got to hold it off with the picks. You can't jump the gun on these things.
I'm not doing the picks. I said,
what is he talking about? Did somebody put something in his coffee this morning? Yeah, because he is really wily this morning.
I don't know what he's talking
about. Well, I know. I'm ready for football, guys. I'm ready for football. That's what I'm focused on. I'm not focused on the external stuff. I'm focused on football today.
Well, yes, I'm glad you
That's not a real football, Jack.
Yeah, I got it at one of these.
No Franklins are used in the NFL. It's all Wilson footballs. I proved that last year.
It's the official NFL ball, I think.
No, it's not.
Wait.
It's an official. It's an official egg.
Let it go. Let it go, Jack.
You keep it warm. Keep it warm, and it'll hatch in about 6 weeks.
Jack was the wiffle ball king of the neighborhood, but he was also, remember them wiffle footballs that had the holes in it? He used to play wide receiver for a team there in the neighborhood, and he was pretty good back then. So anyway, the Houston's playing in Baltimore. The C.J. Stroud's first game. I don't expect it to go well for Houston today. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think Houston's going to win that game, and doesn't have a chance to win that game anyway. So, all right. I think we're all in agreement on that. Tampa Bay.
Houston, let me just give them credit, the organization. They invested heavily in an offensive line to give C.J. Stroud an opportunity to succeed early. So they are building something there good. But I agree with I don't think they could win today.
I think Pag said something about he might like Tampa Bay at Minnesota this week. He was saying something about Baker maybe making a little comeback. Pags, is that right? I got you right?
I don't know that I got Tampa winning today, but I think I got Tampa surprising people in the South.
Okay. All right. So there we go. We got our first special guest in today. He's never been on the program before. He's coming live from the tailgate, from what I understand. This is Commander Nash with the Washington Commanders as they're playing the Arizona Cardinals. Let's see if I can get him in here. How we doing, Commander Nash? You gotta unmute your. There you go.
Oh, yeah, we're getting set up.
All right. Cool.
Can you see me?
There you go. Stand back a little bit. Oh, you look great. You look great. Look at it with the hat, the big W there. I mean, this is going to be great. So, Commander, at a Washington Commander tailgate. Now, you know the Commanders are kind of a new team because of the name. Is this as crazy as some of the other tailgates get, Commander Nash?
Hey, the fans are back, man. We had to actually wait in line to get in the parking lot. That's the first time in years.
All right. So they're excited. Of course, you're playing the Arizona Cardinals. This could be a 1-0 for you guys right off the rip.
I mean, no disrespect to the Cardinals. My buddy, he won Fan of the Year for 2021. We've been hanging out together this weekend, but I really think we got the talent. I think we can start off 1-0. We got a great team. The energy's back. Ownership, Harry, Magic. Man, it's just so exciting to finally be a Washington fan again.
Commander Nash, do you think the Commanders can actually win the NFC East?
What was that?
Do you think the Commanders can actually win the NFC East?
Woo! That's bold. I think Philadelphia is going to be tough. I think we can split with, but you know what? I say we can go 10-7. I will say that. I say we go 10-7.
Yeah, that's as good as predicted as any I've heard. Yeah. So what do you think about your young quarterback? He looked good in preseason, Commander Nash, but that's preseason. What do you think about how he's going to do today?
Well, when his first start was against the Cowboys in January, I was here. He looked great. He's a fellow North Carolina UNC. I'm from North Carolina. I back him up 110%. The receiver said great things about him. I think he could be our franchise quarterback. We ain't had one in a long time. So I support him.
All right, cool. And your defense is one of the top defenses, I would say, in the NFC. You got Young back. He's ready to go. So I think Dobson, who's going to be starting for Arizona, may be in a little trouble today.
I think so. I mean, Chase is out this week with the neck injury. I hope he's back against Buffalo. Our defense was top 5 last year. Our only weakness, I do believe, is the linebacker core. But I love Forbes. I think Forbes is going to be with us a long time. I hope he's close to the Darryl Green status. I have a lot of hope for him. I think our defense up front is going to be aggressive in this game. I see us getting about 6 to 7 sacks.
Wow. All right. So there you go. Bold prediction there, Commander Nash. Now you got some rivalries here now. I'm there. I'm a huge Giant fan. Of course, you got 2-time Super Bowl champion Jim Jeffcoat, who went crazy and picked Dallas to win the Super Bowl. And, of course, you got the Philly sports guy who says Philadelphia's going to win the Super Bowl. So what would Washington have to do to win the NFC East, you think, Commander?
They win the NFC East this year?
Yes.
Woo! We got to establish the running game. We got to protect Sam Howell. Philadelphia is going to be our biggest threat. Cowboys are always a challenge, as well. Nothing against the Giants. Our division is tough. We beat each other up. I really think if Eric is going to be a great offense coordinator, I think we're going to air it out more, and I do see him being our head coach next season.
Commander Nash, does Eric Bieniemy, the new offensive coordinator, have complete say running the offense? Has Ron Rivera left it up to him? Was that the understanding? Because he didn't call the plays at Kansas City on Andy Reid. Is he going to have that total responsibility with the Commanders?
I think you bring the same thing. I mean, we ain't got Patrick Mahomes, but we do have the receivers. We just got to find that Kelsey-like tight end that he's used to in Kansas City.
All right. Okay.
A little bit hard to get away from the tailgating.
So listen, real quick. This is going to be like the first sellout in forever long because they sold tickets for like what, $9? So
they even opened up.
Is the stadium, stadium going to make it?
What's that?
Last time the Eagles were there, or like one of the times the Eagles were there, the stadium started to fall apart.
Yes.
From all the shaking because the Eagles were taking care of business. So now, is the stadium going to make it through this game?
The stadium was built in '97. It's showing its age, but I think it will. They're going to invest $40 million into the stadium this year, and I also heard they're going to put additional close to $100 million in the future. The lease runs up in 2027, so they're going to put money into the stadium. But as of holding up today, if we win, it probably won't.
Commander Nash, what's the feeling amongst the Commanders fans over the whole Daniel Snyder situation? Him no longer being the owner. Is that an uplifting thing for the fans, so they don't care what?
I took off work to go to the pet rally when the owners were here. They showed up in person, and there was a longer line to meet the owners than it was at some of the home games last year. Fans are coming back. The energy is back. People's waiting out here in the heat on July the 21st in long lines just to see the new owners and the excitement. I think that everybody's happy. We had 24 years of Snyder. I mean, it was good to me as a fan, but we needed a change. We need to get back to where the NFC East was in the 80s and early 90s.
There you go. Exactly. And speaking of that, the Redskins Cowboys rivalry is one of the prime rivalries in football at one time. Played every Thanksgiving. Jim Jeffcoat played against the Redskins quite a bit. I think Jim was shut out. I don't think he got any sacks when he played against the Redskins. So,
correct that. Sacks in Washington. So make it in a game. So make sure you know that.
So Hogs, of course, were a big reason why the Redskins at the time won a lot of games. Is that something that you think the Redskins should start building again? Is that great offensive line?
I agree. We do need more pieces off this line, but the Hogs, they are our franchise. We built our foundation around them. I'm still disappointed that Joe Jacoby's not in the Hall of Fame. I've written letters. I think he should have been in. He retired in 1993. I mean, the man been to 4 Super Bowls, won 3. It's time for him to go in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I think you're right. One of the greatest offensive linemen ever. So, Commander Nash, we want to thank you for coming in, and I've enjoyed it. You're enthusiastic. You're a great guest. Good luck watching today. I don't think you'll need it. You guys should be 1-0 after this week, and maybe you might be the only. Well, there's going to be another at least 1-0 team. Well, Eagles are going to win. There's no doubt about that.
Just one caution, Commander Nash. If the Commanders should lose to Arizona today, there's no way back this season. The year is over. You've got to win. You've got to beat the lowly Arizona Cardinals. There's no way back.
Yes, sir. I do agree with that. That's the tone right here. We have to win now. We got tough games coming up mid-September. We have to set the tone. We have to win now. I don't want us to lose. I drive 4 hours all the way to get here. It's a long ride back to North Carolina. We're going to win today. We're going to get them. We're going to be 1-0.
Okay. All right. All right. Again, Commander Nash, thank you for coming in. I'd love to do it again if you get a chance. Have a great game.
Yes. Y'all too.
All right.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
All right, Commander Nash. There you go. All right. So, all right. There you go. Listen, enthusiasm. I love it. I love it. I love it. That's how Pags used to be. You know what I mean? That's how Pags used to be when he was coming in. Now,
you know something, guys? We didn't even ask this question. We didn't even think of it, and I was just joking around in a way, but I was serious. They have the biggest must game of all the teams today, Washington, because that you can't lose to Arizona. Any other team could lose to anyone else and come back, but if they're not good enough to beat the Arizona Cardinals, wow.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we'll see. I mean, it's only one game. I mean, let's not get too crazy. I mean, this is only the first game. There's still going to be 16 more games. So, and speaking of somebody that shouldn't lose Monday night, we have the Jetman and a new getup. Looking sharp. Got the jersey on, a little hat. I mean, how are we doing today, Jetman?
All right. How are you, gentlemen?
Doing good.
Hey, Jetman.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. What the heck? The January. Yeah, a little bit.
Wow.
The year doesn't start the NFL season.
Jets will be playing football in January.
Yeah. Okay, Jack. You keep
Happy New Year. To
All
football,
right.
yes.
I got you. So here you go, right off with a division rivalry on Monday night prime time, where everybody can watch you. The Jets and the Buffalo Bills. So, of course, I think the Jets. I picked them as my underdog to
So
go
looking
ahead
forward.
and win that. Are you going to be at the game Monday night, Jet man?
Yes, of course.
All right.
Can't wait.
So, Josh Allen, still a real good quarterback, can run, throw the ball. He's got Stephon Diggs, running game a little weak. What do you think the Jets defense does to Buffalo this Monday night, Jetman?
Really, my only concerns tomorrow night are Josh Allen's mobility and his ability to escape. And, if the Jets can contain him, keep him under 50 yards, I think it's going to be a very solid game. I'm worried about him running around. But that's about it. I mean, the defensive line, first and second team, is stacked. They're going to be all over him. But if he's able to get out of the pocket and get into the secondary, could cause a little concern. But I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to this game. I think the offense is set. I think the defense is set. I think the Bills are in big trouble, to be honest.
Man, the Jets have two featured backs now, Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook. Both of them aren't going to be 50-50. One's going to be 1, the other's going to have to be 1A. Out of the two, who's going to be the main back this season?
I think it's going to be Hall. But, to be honest, I was just talking yesterday with a friend, and I think first play of the game on offense, I think you'll see both of them in the backfield. I'm feeling one of them will get a pass, to start off the game. I think they're going to be, bringing them both in and out, but I think it's going to be Breece's backfield for the most part. How about you?
I think it'll be Breece Hall. They invested in him. Plus, Dalvin Cook didn't have as good a year last year as the couple of years before for the Vikings. So I kind of feel Breece Hall is the one that's rising a little more.
Jim Jeffcoat was a defensive end with the Buffalo Bills his final years because he held out, and the Cowboys said, well, if you want to hold out, you go play for Buffalo. That's basically what happened there.
Yes. Jim was taught a lesson. Jerry Jones wouldn't put up any of Jim's stuff.
So Jim, you being in Buffalo, I know you got some ties there, and you kind of root for Buffalo over there in the AFC. What would Buffalo have to do to beat the Jets Monday night?
Just show up. They're going to beat it.
Wow. Could you expand on that a
little?
little?
Buffalo is a better team, even with Aaron Rodgers on the Jets. You're putting too much emphasis. Garrett is the only receiver that the Jets have. Buffalo will be.
Let me ask you this. Last year, when the Jets should have won both games against Buffalo and had probably one of the lowest rated quarterbacks in football when playing them, how did that happen? How did that go down?
Should have, but did they?
They split.
That's
split,
right.
and Josh Allen hasn't been the same since those meetings. 2 years ago, he looked.
Buffalo will win.
Last
Buffalo
year,
will win. Josh Allen, but Buffalo has more firepower on offense than the Jets do right now. And I know you have Aaron Rodgers. But you got one receiver.
Really?
No, they don't.
One receiver. And
they got Stephon Diggs. We got Garrett Wilson. That's cool.
You can't
Garrett
put
Wilson is
Lazard. I'm going to see Lazard is going to be.
Oh
big.
No, he won't. No,
Mecole Hardman, slot receiver, is going to be.
Hey, Jetman, you cannot drink this early in the morning.
Jetman is confident. He's confident, and he has reason to be confident.
Buffalo will be fine.
No, Buffalo is good. I'm not saying they're a bad team by any means. They're
It's going to take a little time for Aaron Rodgers because if you remember last year with Green Bay. They struggled at the beginning. It's another team.
Which
And
is
Aaron
why
Rodgers-
he played against the Giants to get a little taste. You know,
he played one series and he beat third stringers. Oh my God!
But he hasn't played preseason. He hasn't had a preseason game in years.
Stan, the man stands in for the New York Giants. I'm glad you came in as Jetman is talking about the Jets. Aaron Rodgers string a touchdown on a third string, and they act like they won the Super Bowl. So, I don't know what's going on there. So, but it is great to have two teams in New York that are relevant again. I'm glad to see that anyway. So let's get a little thing going here. I mean, we got Dallas, we got the Jets, Eagles, Giants. This is excellent. Giants and the Cowboys stand. Of course, Jim Jeffcoat, I'm going to say it again, picks the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl. And of course, we're going to finish last in the division according to Jim. So what's going to happen tonight, Stan? The Giants step to the plate finally and beat the Cowboys.
I believe this game is gonna be won on defense tonight. I don't expect this a high scoring game, and it's gonna boil down to turnovers. Of course, I expect us to win. If it were up to me, the score would be 28-21 Giants, but I'm gonna go with 14-10 Giants. And
Stan, you said something very important. Turnovers are going to decide this game.
I believe so.
Who led the league in turnovers the last 3 years?
Jim, I knew you would bring that up. So I got a little something for you, Jim.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
This goes back to December 15th of 1985.
Holy God.
I was a freshman in college, home on holiday break.
You found the VCR that works? I tell you, you're just like Cowboys fans. Find the VCRs that work and everything so that you can live the days of old.
Hey, I tried to pull this game up, and of course, with the fine technology in 1985.
Stan the man bringing pops. I love it.
Yeah, I lived it. You don't have to show. I lived it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. See, Jetman, this is what we expect. We expect props, videos,
Why is this so significant in a young man's life?
Stan, I don't understand your final score, 14 points. The Giants have either the best field goal kick or the second best next to Justin Tucker and Gano, who they just signed to a contract. He's been sensational. He can routinely kick balls from 55 yards. He's accurate from there. Chances are the Giant offense is going to stall a little past midfield, and they're going to be utilizing him on at least a couple of occasions.
You have no idea. I pray for the good leg of Graham Gano every single week, okay? But in this situation, I really truly believe that this game is going to come down to defense more than anything else. Because, listen, for us to go out and make a true statement in this game, I expect to see Jones come out and just throw the ball, okay? If he doesn't come out passing in this game, then that's going to put pressure on our offensive line, which at this stage, it takes them at least a couple of games to gel. So if I was the defensive coordinator of the Cowboys, I would attack Evan Neal just as we did last year to put pressure on the ball. The only thing about that, it's going to force Jones to make his reads and make decisions quicker.
Listen, Stan, man, I'm big as Giant fan as anybody out there. I think that I don't know if it's going to be a defensive game or not. First of all, we got our young defensive backfield going up against three real good receivers. And if we can't cover these receivers, they can get ugly fast. And on the other side of the ball, you've got Dallas' strength this year being their defensive backs against our younger receivers. So, the only way the Giants, I say, can beat the Dallas Cowboys, and I think they will, is with Saquon Barkley and Waller both having big games. That's possible. That's possible. But I'm not. I don't see 14-10 with the firepower Dallas has on offense.
Well, I believe that I believe our pass rush is the one thing that's going to give us a little bit of help on defense. Then we also have a secret weapon by the name of Dak Prescott who's going to help us out throughout the game as well. So.
Wait. What's the Giant pass rush? I mean, hopefully Leonard Williams, takes his game up a bit. He might.
Well, I honestly believe the combination of Williams, Lawrence, Thibodeau, and now Simmons.
Did they activate him for this game?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Thibodeau, don't count on Thibodeau. Maybe he'll get a sack. Maybe Dak Prescott will run into him and he'll get one sack. Don't count on him.
Let me get everybody.
How are you?
The thing with you Giants fans, if you got a wish and hope, there's no wishing and hoping. It's playing. You got to wish. Well, I wish Prescott doesn't play good. I hope they can cover those.
Oh, wow. I've got a lot of faith in Dak Prescott. Okay?
Well,
I've got a lot of faith in Dak Prescott. He's going to play very consistently tonight. We'll see that. Okay? But with that in mind.
Hey, Stan, let's get everybody in here, all right?
Okay.
NFC and AFC definitely.
And I admire you. I appreciate you and everything. When's the last time the Giants beat the Cowboys?
Here we go again. And when's the last time Dallas won a Super Bowl?
I didn't ask you that.
A trip down
when's
memory.
the last
We'll
time?
take a trip.
I can't answer.
We'll take a trip. We'll take a trip down memory lane.
It's been more than a fortnight.
We'll take a trip down memory lane later because Dallas hasn't won Super Bowl since the 90s.
How many times have they beat Prescott?
Anyway, the NFC, the unique thing about this year is the NFC and AFC East both are good and both are playing each other.
Yes.
Now, I think, and this is my opinion anyway. I think the Eagles are the best in either division. I think the Eagles could win either division this year. That's how good the Eagles and how deep they are. I don't think there's any team in either division that could beat the Eagles. I don't care who it is. And believe it or not, I think overall that Miami's the second best in either division. What do you think about that?
I think you've been drinking that coffee too.
All right, okay.
Yeah, some people have
I'm going to tell you the truth. If Dallas wins this game, good. If they lose it, so what? It's only one game. This is not a sprint. This is a marathon.
Right.
I agree about all that. This is just one game.
Reversed. If
they're going to need to be running marathons. They're going to really run a sprint when they go 1-4.
They're not going 1-4.
See, that's what I like about Jet, man. He's confident. No doubt the Jets are winning tomorrow. You guys are already talking about your teams. Well, if we lose a game, it's only one game. You're cushioning yourself.
All I know is how many teams have been undefeated.
He's confident as well.
There's only been one team undefeated. Well, two, really, but they didn't win the Super Bowl.
Either the Giants or Cowboys are going to be one game behind the Eagles to start the season, and they might never catch up to the Eagles to lose that game. They're going to be looking up at the Eagles after only 1 week, and they're not going to be saying, oh, it's only one game. Anxiety is going to set in after that game.
What's the weather look like?
Weather's going to be all right. It'll be
raining. Shame. I was hoping it was going to pour, and then they were going to tie.
That could possibly happen.
Dan, the real Daniel Jones.
I see a lot more tonight than Stan, but I see the Giants winning. I think
everybody's talking.
That's
what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to back your teams, but reality tells you the Giants are the Giants.
Oh, wait a minute. We got.
Jim, it's a good thing you're wearing that Texas shirt today. because
Son played. He was an All-American in Texas.
Yeah.
All-American.
I'm saying that's all you get this weekend. You know, and I was coming in here happier than Matthew McConaughey in Tuscaloosa this morning, but I got a little bit of gibber off to your right, so I've got to address that. Listen, you know, good luck to you guys tomorrow night, because people may have forgotten this, but many years ago on 9/11, you know, after 9/11. The Jets and the Patriots played the first game in the NFL after 9/11. See, I helped heal the country. The Mets also played the first baseball game then. So I'll give you that much. But after week 8, I'm booking a ticket for our bye week to help you guys move back to Citi Field where you belong.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
But Jim, you say
Your lips to God.
Next to you, Jet man.
Listen,
I would love it. I would
I'm
love
going to say the
I
biggest.
I think 5 out of 6 of the people here picking the Giants to win tonight.
I'm glad.
No, I'm picking the Cowboys to win.
All right, all right.
It's type 1, 20-19. It comes down to the wire. Dallas edges it out at the
I
end.
was going to have to win by more than 3 because they got a guy.
Oh, they're not going to cover the
He was a
points.
stop
I mean,
player.
I'm not talking that. I think the Cowboys edged the game out at the end. It could go either way, that type of game. I think the biggest question for the Giants this season is Daniel Jones. Is he the quarterback that he showed he was last year? Is he going to take a step forward? Is he the same guy he was the first 3 years? Because if he could turn out to be another Sam Darnold was for Jets. I mean, what Giants might just see, he's not our guy, but they're kind of stuck with him for an extra year beyond this year if it doesn't work out.
It's honestly, it's bigger than Daniel Jones. I mean, if you look at our team, this is the 4th time in the last 10 years that a head coach has gone to their second season. Okay? In the second season, each of those head coaches in the last 10 years is where things broke down. So when I look at the system that Shane and Dable put together, it's important for them to really prove that they've created a system where, regardless of what happens with Jones, they can step back from their work at the end of this season and see what's missing, what needs to be corrected, what they need to address. That's the key thing for us, is progress. And that's for the system over and above everything else, because I believe with this core group, they break their sophomore jinx. I think it ends here.
Listen, they had the same problem with the Jets. The Jets had coaches coming in and out every year, and that's stunted the Jets' growth. And hopefully they have something where Salah doesn't end up getting fired for some stupid reason, and they can build out there. That's more important than people know as a coach having some, couple 3 years anyway to prove himself. That doesn't happen too much anymore. It's going to be interesting. The Eagles, I mean, they got one of the better head coaches in the league too. If something happens where he gets fired, the Eagles will be in trouble too. So I think we got to start letting the coaches coach for a few more years. Not just as one and done stuff or 2 years, a year and a half, and you're out. You can't get any kind of culture growth, anything happen there. So I mean, that's a great point. I think the ball and it's going to be a good coach. I think Salah could be a good coach, and of course we won't talk about McCarthy, who may be fired by the end of the year, depending on how Dallas does. So that'll be interesting.
Every year. What's different from this year? You guys said he was terrible 3 years ago.
I hope he never gets fired. I want him always to be coach. They're going to implode this year. I'm telling you, the implosion is coming. You're going to be like, I can't believe that it actually came true. I don't believe you. I didn't believe you, but you really do know.
I want to.
You had him fired last year.
No, I didn't. I didn't. I said I hope he was.
You did. Don't even lie.
No, I had your offensive coordinator fired. I had your offensive coordinator fired. Come on, let me roll the tape. Pull up the tape. I want to hear. Go ahead and make up your own narrative. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
All right.
I want to understand.
I'm going on the record. I have no problem with Dak Prescott, Mike McCarthy, and and Jerry Jones. As long as that trio's in business, I am fine. Okay.
All right,
The
so
football.
Stan, you have your own problems with the Giants. When Aaron Rodgers was leaving the field after the last exhibition game, or one of them, he said, "This is Jet Life Stadium." When he was leaving MetLife Stadium, he called it Jet Life Stadium. In other words, this has now become a jet town. New York, New Jersey. It used to be a giant town. It is now Aaron Rodgers has officially called it a jet town.
It'll never be a jet town. Don't even fool yourself.
Well,
it'll always
gotta win the Super Bowl for that to happen.
Yeah, at least one more, please. Yeah, at least one more Super Bowl before we call it that. So, Jetman, I'm gonna let you go right now, and I want to see the Jets polarize Buffalo. That's I want you to talk to Salah through the back channels, and I want to see the Jets polarize Buffalo, put them out of misery, get that whole team in an uproar, and have some people, leaving that team, and maybe even Josh Allen makes MVP again next year. We'll see. What do you think?
I have a little meditation session set up with Aaron Rodgers tomorrow. So,
okay, well, all right. Stay away from the magic mushrooms, okay, Jetman.
All right, gentlemen.
Yeah,
enjoy
I
it.
wish you guys well against the Bills, because you hear that chatter about the only resident New York team, which doesn't have a Super Bowl, by the way, but kill that chatter. So,
well, we had a Super Bowl years ago. We won one years ago.
No, not you. No. I'm talking about Bills fans. Bills fans always make noise about being the only real New York team in the state of New York. They just happen to not have a Super Bowl win. So, you beat them, we beat them. That's great. But like I said, bye week, I'm bringing the moving truck.
Well, we'll see what happens. You know what I don't like? I don't like that we're playing Dallas right in the beginning and the Eagles at the end of the year. They should have split that up somehow. I mean, maybe it's better for us playing Eagles. Maybe it would be better by the end of the year. Maybe we'll give them
yesterday, 23 years ago, and I think Jim Jeffcoat may have been part of that team, was the pickle juice game. Were you part of that team there, Jim?
I was not.
Yeah, so you weren't part of that team when the Eagles started with an onside kick and then decided to just.
I was coaching then.
Oh, okay. Yeah, whatever. I don't think so.
Did Philadelphia recover that onside kick?
It was Andy Reid, his first game with Donovan McNabb. I was coaching then.
Yep.
We
won 44 to 14 that game.
I think Jim was coaching.
We blamed it on the pickle juice.
Jim was coaching special teams, I think, at that time. That thing went off. Nah. You know what? I'm only kidding. So guys, let's finish up real quick on the teams. We'll keep staying on for this part of the segment. Let's go with the Tennessee Titans at New Orleans. Tennessee, believe it or not, is getting 3 points at New Orleans. Who do you guys like there?
Yeah, I like Tennessee. I like Mike Vrabel. I think Derek Carr is overrated. I don't think he's going to mean that much to New Orleans in the big picture.
Anybody else?
I like New Orleans.
I like New Orleans.
I'm going to go with New Orleans.
I'm going to go with the Titans.
Okay. You and Pickles, so that makes it even. Let's go with the. We did Las Vegas. Well, we didn't really do Las Vegas at Denver. Can their quarterback over the Denver, my Hall of Fame quarterback there, can he beat them? Can he beat the Raiders this week? Russell Wilson. What can happen here? Is Denver going to beat the Raiders, guys?
I like Denver in that game. They're at home, and Sean Payton has been a good coach throughout his whole career. He hasn't been spotty like Josh McDaniels, and they have a real good defense at Denver. Jerry Judy's out. That'll hurt Denver somewhat, but I like Denver to squeak by.
I think we'll see a new Russell Wilson this year.
I think he will, but
yeah,
I think the Raiders are going to win. I think the Raiders are more talented in their running game and receiving.
Pickles is with you guys. Raiders are going to win by 2 each.
I actually have the Broncos in this game because the only team that's really worse than Denver is the Raiders.
I think it's because you deep down you love Russell Wilson. You just don't want to admit it. So Carolina,
Yeah, that's exactly what I was saying.
Carolina, Atlanta. I liked Atlanta as one of my favorites. Does Carolina have a chance today against the Atlanta Falcons?
No, I think Atlanta will win.
I think the Atlanta Falcons probably have the most balanced offensive attack in the NFC South. So, they really have to step out all over themselves today to give that game up to Carolina and a rookie quarterback. I think one mistake they made last year is they didn't give enough snaps to Ritter to see what they had in a quarterback. But I really like what they have on offense here with Robinson, with Pitts, and of course London.
Stan, you're a very knowledgeable person, and I like that. You make good points. The other guy, he's just drinking the giant Kool-Aid.
Robinson might be the best draftee this year when all is said and done. He might be the rookie of the year. He's that good. I think Carolina. I like Atlanta today, but I think Carolina is going to be the best team in that division by the end of the season.
Now, who do you got, Pags?
Atlanta.
All right, me too. All right. Jags and Indianapolis Colts with the young quarterback Richardson. Do they have a chance, Jeffcoat, to beat the Jags?
You always have a chance, but I think
mean.
I think the Jags are still the arrows pointing up for them, and I think they're going to get better. And Trevor Lawrence is starting to become the quarterback that everybody anticipated.
What do you think,
Chad? I think the Jaguars come out and make a statement that they're another force in the AFC.
Yeah.
That needs to be taken serious.
Jacksonville by 27 points.
27.
Ooh,
yeah.
Wow.
Pags, what do you think?
I got them as my favorite win, so I like the Jags.
No way, you don't think Richardson has a big game and maybe pulls out an upset?
Not today.
I like Richardson a lot. So that's one more. Seattle the Rams at Seattle. I don't think the Rams will have they may be worse than the Cardinals this year. I'm not sure. What do you guys think about that game? Any chance at all that the Rams have winning this game?
The chance the Rams have is when they step off the bus. That's the only chance they have, because after that, Seattle's going to get after them.
I agree.
What is their whole offense? Cam Akers running the ball against Seattle. I mean, it's going to be a rout. Seattle's going to. It's going to be.
We'll see.
About 30.
Who's the Rams head coach? Sean McVay. We'll see him on television next year.
You're probably right. Folks, we've got the top of the hour. I want to thank Keith Angle, Robert Butler, of course, the Philly sport guy, always on with us Sundays and Fridays normally, and our special guest, Stan the Man, that stayed with us, having the Washington Commanders, Commander Nash, and he was very, very excited. Great guest, and of course, Jetman, who joins us almost.
Shoot, if we were playing the Cardinals, I'd be excited too.
I would be too. That would be great. So, folks, have a great Sunday. Enjoy the games, and I hope more than anything that your team wins. We'll see you again soon on the Mac and Jack Sports Show. Have a great Sunday.